Alright. So it says I'm live. Let's see how live I am. Why do I have the headset on? Not listening to anything. Okay, a bit of a false alarm on that nature call, but I might still have to take that call momentarily, but we'll see. I'll give it some time. Plus, it'll serve as a good way to kind of give my voice a break, capture some oxygen, if you will. Bones, welcome to stream. Had a couple of people that were waiting. Spartan 107, love your name by the way. Chief Mackay, I don't know if you guys are still here, but welcome. Let me check my mail to see if I did get the notification. Oh man, I made a typo. Well, it's not the big of a deal. I think it's still an I, but it's capitalized on the whole FIguarts thing. Alright. Let me bring up my Google Keep. I actually have an article that I had to pull up here. Actually, two articles. Like, how do you expect people to check out your site if you're just gonna tell people like, hey, if you want to see the whole thing, you have to pay a subscription. Goddamn New York Times. Like, I just want bullet points. Jesus. Okay. So yeah, I even have a couple of articles that I'm going to be referring to. So I got that. No, not that. Close. Okay. Bring up Paternia, because they got the stuff kind of allocated and grouped together a little bit nicer. Why is IMAX trending? Princess Mononoke. Whoa. Oh, are they sold out, or are we good, or how are we feeling? Also, Jaws. Oh man, Jaws is it? Well, I don't know, cause I actually did already see it in IMAX. I think last year or the year before. I think it was in 2023. But at the same time, it is the 50-year anniversary. Oh, they cut it. So I don't know, but I do know that this weekend, the Jaws is in IMAX, and I'm like, I kind of want to see it. And just announced today, you can buy tickets for Back to the Future in IMAX. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of sweet. I kind of want that. JM Herrera, welcome to stream. I had a note like that not long ago from Google about an article, and I went into pay to read more. JM Herrera, welcome. Did I say that already? No. It says... Okay, let me use a different zip code. Ah, there we go. When is this? Thursday, October 30th. And then Friday, October 31st, but that's Halloween, and I feel like me and the girlfriend might have plans for Halloween, unless she starts working, which even she's like, yeah, I don't know why I get this weird vibe that I'm going to start working by then. Like, I'll get a job by then. But hey, we also got that weekend, the first couple days of November. Is it November 5th when... I'm going to have to go back and watch the movies, because I remember when does lightning hit the clock tower in Back to the Future? Saturday, November 12th, 1955 at 10:04 p.m. Do they have showings? It doesn't. I think they ended the following Thursday. That's bullshit. They should keep it another week so that then it can cover November 12th, because November 12th, 1955 would be the 70th anniversary of the Hill Valley thunderstorm. That's how they should do it. But yeah, guys, just announced right now. Well, not right now. I think it was earlier this morning. Back to the Future in IMAX in October. Tickets on sale now. Starting October 30th, which is a little too close to Halloween, but for that week, bleeding on over to like at the latest November 6th, they got showings in IMAX. But I personally think that they should keep it another week so that it can cover November 12th, because in November 12th is when the clock tower actually gets struck by lightning. That would have been perfect, but of course we can't have perfect things. We cannot. Oh, cool! They're using Fandango. So yeah, I'm just giving it a couple of minutes before we tackle the main topics today, guys. So give it a few minutes. I only have really 3 bold topics, and then we'll just kind of shoot the shit. But I really do mean it when I say that the 3 topics are bold. Like, there might be enough here to talk about. To go on a bit of a tangent. Yeah, some tickets are already selling. God damn it. I hate it when they do this, where it's like the perfect seat, and then, but I need 2, and they only take up 1. And it's one of the perfect ones. And I'm like, at least take the whole row if you're gonna fucking do that. We'll see. I'll let my girlfriend know. Back to the Future in IMAX. Hell yeah. Jaws I'm a little indifferent to, only because I technically already saw it in IMAX a couple years ago, but I know that right now it's technically the 50th anniversary, so I'm like, does it owe a rewatch? Should we do a rewatch? Should we do it? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Ooh, that one. Oh, there's still showtimes. I'll think about Jaws. Like I said, I'm kind of indifferent on Jaws because we did already see it in IMAX. But now Back to the Future, I'll definitely tackle that. Alright. And I think I bookmarked some things that will help out some of the topics today. Actually, yeah. Okay. Well, that's the article. I guess I technically have that. Funny meme. Going to Reddit. Speaking of Reddit, I had quite a morning with Reddit today. One of my favorite things to do. I'm sorry. One of my favorite things to do is to metaphorically grab a grenade, take the pin out, and pop it into a room full of people, and then just run out. What else do I need for the topics? Because I got the article, I got... Oh. Yeah, well, no, hold on. Let me open up that Mayfix page. Go over to new. Herpy derp. Oh, actually, hold on. What the fuck? Got those. And then I need McFarlane. for our last topic, semi-last topic. I don't know if maybe there'll be something else under afterwards. Kind of, sort of, maybe. Okay. How's everything looking? Do we have any drop frames? I think we're good. I don't know what chaos is. Well, one of them is not really... One of them is more of a roast slash in-joke. Like, I didn't really mean it seriously. And it's in the Hot Toys. And it's for a Hot Toys figure that I just don't feel compelled to cover on the stream. Because it's not Spider-Man or Batman related. It's Hot Toys related, but it's not like I don't have that great of it. I like the character, but I don't have that great of an affinity with the characters. I just made an observation, thought of a certain someone, thought of a roasting joke, and dropped that roasting joke in the subreddit. And and it was a pretty divided reaction that honestly I thought it was just gonna get kind of swooped under the rug, and other people were gonna talk about other things inside of the Hot Toys subreddit. But there's actually a hefty chunk of like comments, and even I'm like, huh, it's just an in joke, it's just a jab, a verbal joust. The other one, though, I will show in the stream here because it has to do with Mafex, and it has to do with a very specific Mafex Spidey. If you know, you know. But we'll get to that. Well, we'll get to that a little sooner because it technically does connect to our first topic. Let me bend the monitor down a little bit more. Let me just organize myself here. I guess. Can I grab multiple? No, I can't. I'll use that post. Yeah, I'll keep that open. All right. Okay. I think it's been enough. It's been a good like 10 minutes or so, whatever. So, as if the hobby of action figure collecting and I guess from my perspective, toy reviewing wasn't already being in, for lack of a better term, shambles or conflicted or on shaky ground. This week, something that didn't necessarily just come out of nowhere. It was kind of forecasted in a sense, forecasted, whatever, and it was something that I think maybe was gonna. A lot of people were kind of thinking maybe from a positive mindset, or maybe one would argue a naive mindset. We're thinking that maybe there was going to be some kind of extension, but lo and behold, it got shut down. The de minimis exemption to everything that's been happening with the tariffs across the globe in regards to imports, in regards to things coming into the country via overseas shippings and logistics and all that stuff, has been shut down. Like I said, it's not something that just kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't like a breaking news sort of situation. I think the deadline was always kind of planted here towards the end of August, but I think a lot of people were thinking that maybe there was gonna be some kind of mutual accord being met by every party included, or there was gonna be yet another loophole that could be exploited, or something was just gonna happen. Something was just simply going to give. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that was going to be the case. And that de minimis exemption was in fact lifted And I guess you could argue those tariffs. It's almost like putting a band-aid on like a dam that's breaking, and that band-aid, of course, just simply came off, and now the dam is breaking down, all the water coming in. The water in this metaphor would be those tariffs that you would have to pay. That is, I can't remember what the exact percentage of. I'm wondering if this article that I pulled up from CNBC will have anything to kind of give a little bit of added context. I just know that with specific storefronts that I was coursing through in regards to the figures that I like to import from certain sites that I like to import personally, we are looking somewhere around the $80 to $90. I think minimum is like $80 for tariff charges, on top of already something that you're paying for that could be around the $80 to $90 range. So you're practically paying double just to get the figure into the country from a different country. And on top of that, that's what's happening now. Who is to say what's going to happen with other companies later down the line? Companies that are actually already based here in America, such as Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store, who are already marking up their product pages with a little red labeling or lettering, whatever you want to call it, that already says excludes tariff surcharge. Half of which they're splitting by absorbing part of it, and then the other part of it is now on the customer. So, like I said, I got this article from CNBC, and let's kind of breeze through it together, because I'm definitely going to look at some of these bullet points at the top, because I know that it could get a little dense. So let me see if we could take a gander here real quick. Retail panic, what the end of the de minimis exemption means for brands across the globe. This was literally published this morning at 8:31 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I guess it's called. The de minimis exemption, key points. The de minimis exemption, which allowed shipments valued under $800 to enter the country duty-free, came to an end globally on Friday, August 29th, across the board. The provision had been slated to end in July of 2027, but an executive order from President Trump eliminated it much sooner, giving businesses, custom officials, and postal services less time to prepare. Companies big and small have used the exemption to save money on digital fulfillment, and the change could lead to higher prices. Small business owners on Etsy, eBay, and Shopify, for example, relied on the provision to support their marketplace business. So those are the key points. And here, China, Hong Kong, and on July 30th, he expanded the rollback to all countries, calling it a catastrophic loophole that's been used to evade tariffs and get unsafe or below-market products into. So that's the excuse, for lack of a better term, that he's coming up with, is that it's supposed to be a way to combat, like, it's, to me, it reads, and this is just an observation, you know what it reminds me of? Like, remember you always had that asshole teacher in elementary school who would punish the whole class because one dipshit decided to cheat or decided to, like, talk when they're supposed to be quiet? And to be like, what does that teach the rest of the class? Instead of punishing the individual, they're like, well, now the whole class needs to do this because of him. You have him to thank for. And I'm like, how does that help? It's kind of it's planting seeds to these other students who were cool to now hate teachers and grow up and develop attributes to resent teachers and to fight against them as they go on up the grades, should they go up the grades and progress in school. This is kind of what it feels like, where it's like, because of the drugs coming into the country. But I'm like, but then collectors like myself want action figures that are under the $800 range, and because of that, tariffs. And it's funny because on the one hand, it'll be like, okay, you can choose to either pay the amount or not. And like I said, it gets pretty thick, pretty dense right here as far as, okay, actually, you know what? Let me skip to this part. Maybe I'll kind of breeze on through here. Impact, marketplace impact. Actually, you know what? Here we go. Let's do this brief part right here. Marketplace impact. The most acute impact of the end of the de minimis is expected to be felt online marketplaces where millions of small businesses sell goods like Etsy, eBay, and Shopify. this article is using those three as an example, but I am definitely extending it to these imported sites that we're about to mention, but I'll go ahead and spoil them here. Hobbylink Japan, Hobby Genki, Nin Nin, I think there's one called Ami Ami. I don't know, they like their names over there. And then when it comes to some of the ones here in America, Big Rig Toy Store and Entertainment Earth, who I don't think are going to suspend operations, but of course you got those tariff surcharges. So let's keep reading here. And used de minimis to defray costs while sending online orders for other parts of the globe to the U.S. American shoppers have gotten used to buying artwork, coffee mugs, t-shirts, and other items from merchants outside the country without paying duties. With the tariff exemptions gone, consumers could face higher costs and a more limited selection of items to choose from. Etsy, eBay, and some other retailers sought to defend the loophole prior to its removal, submitting public comments on proposed de minimis regulation by the CBP. Consumer Buyers Protection? I think that's what that is. I could be wrong. An eBay public policy executive said the company was concerned that restrictions to de minimis would impose significant burdens on American consumers and importers. We had some quotes here from literally the head of Etsy of what that's going to happen. But me as a collector, I can definitely give you guys probably the best, most contemporary example that literally happened to me last night. Like, if you didn't want any more of a concrete example, it's exactly what happened last night. Let me pull up my subreddit post that got some people up in arms in a way that, in a direction that I just wasn't expecting. Or even I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? I literally was just doing I don't want to say a joke, but it was just supposed to be like a catchphrase, so to speak, and people took it a little too literally. But let me bring up my subreddit post. This is what I posted. I went into the Mayfix subreddit and posted this. The post literally says, oh my god, hold on, give me a second, guys. The mother's in the hallway, so that's why I'm like, hold on. Oh no, my analytics. Thank God the key wasn't on there. That's why I always switch to that other screen. Bones, you saw that? Yeah, that was me. I apparently kicked the hornet's nest. Okay. Because sometimes she likes to just hang out here in the hall because she's obviously trying to listen in on me. And I'm like, this, unless you're going to help. You know what I mean? Like, parents are like nosy, but they don't want the repercussions for it. It's like, all right, are you going to help or not? All right. Okay, so where was I? All right, back to my post. The headline says, one of God's cruelest jokes. As like I said, a slogan. And the body of the post says, there's never been worse timing. And the screenshot was simply just what I received, which is an email saying that from Hobbylink Japan, saying that they've charged me and have put the Mayfix Amazing Spider-Man 2.0 meant to be the No Way Home Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, but of course they have to title it as The Amazing Spider-Man along with the logo and the branding on the box to be Amazing Spider-Man because Sony and their legalities. But this new version that's been delayed after delay after delay after delay finally fucking comes out. And it comes out at the worst fucking time. It is insane to the point where it literally feels like a bad divine intervened joke. And that's why I wrote it as a punchline, one of God's cruelest jokes. The fact that this figure has been delayed literally like 4 or 5 times. What was supposed to come out, I almost want to say last year, but no, I'd say, to be fair, I think it was supposed to come out in what, April? So what, 3 or 4 delays total? And here we are. Finally gets released in Japan to where people can walk into the store and get it. And for us here in the US, we are greeted with this, or at least from HobbyLink, for those of us who pre-ordered in HobbyLink Japan. Due to recent changes in USA shipping regulations, all USA shipping methods are temporarily suspended, so this order cannot be shipped immediately and can only be stored in the private warehouse until new shipping options become available. So they're pretty much putting it in the private warehouse. It says 180 days left until cancellation. Before panic sets in, keep in mind that that's literally half a year, six months if I'm not mistaken. So that's a good window for maybe some solution to be presented in regards to the tariffs, because I can't imagine this lasting for long, because this is going to impact so many businesses to the point where it's like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, what other option is there? Because we also have to consider that this isn't just affecting action figures, which are most definitely a luxury. They are. I'm completely self-aware of that. But it's eventually it's going to affect some serious necessities like goddamn food and utilities, appliances that are made overseas. It's like companies that are here in the US, like Best Buy, Walmart, Target, eventually they're going to have things that need to be brought in from states. But with this, it's going to be like, hey guys, you guys want to make money, right? Let us make money. We need the product to sell to make money. And this is just the first little ball that's gonna of snow that then's gonna accumulate. But I just posted this as a punchline because I generally see the irony that this figure gets delayed so many times that when it finally comes out, this whole de minimis thing gets lifted. It gets stuck in practically action figure purgatory. It's in a private warehouse overseas, and I post this. The majority of the comments are people saying that God has nothing to do with this, and I'm like, take a fucking joke, people, please. And then, of course, people making it political. Things like that. Calling America a joke. The usuals. Some people at least keep it a little relevant in regards to talking about other storefronts and how they're impacted in terms of like Nin says that they can hold it indefinitely. I'll have to look into them. Does anyone know if P Bandai is affected? That's what happened to my Night Crusader, which is very unfortunate. Sean, I think that's a brand new comment, actually. I didn't see that one before, so my condolences, Sean John. But yeah, man, it's just strange. I'm more perplexed by the reaction. So I'm confused by the reaction, but I'm definitely angered by the fact that this happened with Mayfix Andrew, who finally released. I haven't looked up any reviews because I know that there are some toy reviewers that live overseas in Japan who are able to pick it up from their local collectible spot, action figure toy store, maybe from Medicom directly, because I know that Medicom I think has at least one actual physical brick and mortar store over there in Japan, and you can easily walk in and just pick it up from there. But I don't want to spoil myself. It's being a content creator, I try my best to not actually look at like final release photos or reviews or anything like that, because I just don't want it to be, I don't want it to subconsciously affect my decision or my perspective of a figure. So this is all that I posted. It's just what I was generally exposed to, which is the fact that they charged me for my figure, and yet I can't have the figure. So I am in that like current back and forth stage of trying to figure out if I should just flat out cancel and look into other options to see if I could pay someone in Japan to be like, hey, send me the figure, and then of course figure out whether or not it's reasonable to pay the prices that they do, or the prices that they charge, or whatnot. Because, you know, at the same time, I am an action figure collector. Worst case scenario, and I guess, hold on, before I get to that, let me, one thing that I do want to read, since it is relevant to the storefront that I utilized to purchase, Andrew, was Hobbylink Japan's own statement. Dear customer, thank you for the continued support of Hobbylink Japan. Due to further additional changes to the United States of America's international shipping policies and tariff procedures, yo asses, that's pretty much what they're saying, we have been required to temporarily suspend our remaining available shipping methods to the U.S. This decision arrives as a result of the JP Post's decision to temporarily suspend service to the U.S. pending the development of a system for charging tariffs to U.S. recipients. Basically, what just happened right now with the lifting of de minimis. As a result, we have made the decision to stop taking shipping requests to U.S. by 12 p.m. Japan Standard Time, August 26, 2025. So they were even a little earlier on that. They decided to act on it a couple days earlier. We will temporarily suspend our remaining U.S. shipping methods as a temporary measure. In addition, all of our resources are being diverted to sending as many waiting orders to the U.S. as possible by the deadline. So anything that people already had in their private warehouses of stuff that was already in stock from, they were probably banking them to ship them all together. They're like, hey, take them because you're not going to be able to get them afterwards. So they probably send them out by default before the August 26th, earlier this week. Any orders that have been requested shipment that have not yet been sent by the end of the day will be returned to the private warehouse with no limitations on storage, until a suitable shipping method becomes available again. So I think right now, by default, they're leaving that 180 day stipulation, but they know that maybe down the line, worst case scenario, 5.5 months in there, and if there's still hypothetically no solution, which would be crazy at that point, they're probably going to be like, hey, we're extending the private warehouse. We're going to keep your figure. We're not canceling your order. We're still trying to figure shit out. Obviously, that's not your fault. Hopefully, fingers crossed on that shit, because, you know, things could go sideways, and I need to keep the mindset that cannot be ruled out. Full support will be provided to these customers, and we appreciate that this will be a temporary problem and that we will be able to reestablish a U.S. shipping method soon. At the moment, we are working to reestablish shipping methods for the U.S. as soon as possible. Once a new shipping method becomes available, we will contact all U.S. customers in new notice regarding the resumption of service. Orders for future products can continue to be placed by U.S. customers as usual, so pre-orders and even in-stock item orders can still be placed, and there will be no restrictions on the amount of time. Newly released products can be stored using the private warehouse feature. I should have read ahead of time. Fuck. In addition, all existing private warehouse orders from U.S. customers will be kept safe by us until shipping resumes. We hope to report about the resumption of shipping service to the U.S. as soon as possible. We appreciate your patience and continued support of Hobbylink Japan. Kind regards, HLJ team. There you have it. And I guess the reason why I wanted to tackle this article before going into this like little, I don't want to say rant, but I guess introspective sort of basically, one thing that this will affect, because it's one thing for action figure collectors who are just in the hobby of collecting, they're just buying their figures, importing the figures, so on and so forth. You know, they'll have their means, they'll have the ways of getting their figures and display them and whatnot. But the observation that I want to make is that from a content creator, from someone who doesn't just like to collect these figures, but has a form of I know some of you are going to cringe at this term, but it's a term that I've coined called a jobby. A hobby that has elements of a job to it, not in a negative connotation, but just in a way where it's like, okay, the channel, let's just call it like it is, the channel is monetized, and there's a hefty amount of money that comes out of this channel, not to the extent of being full-time. No, still not there. I am self-aware that it's still not there, but it's still in this like middle of ways where it's making more than just side change, but not enough to sustain me. But it can still go in that direction of maybe supporting me full-time if I play my cards right and treat it like a business instead of just being like, well, it's just a hobby that just happens to be money. No, I set my own deadlines. I make spreadsheets, Google Keep files of what needs to be tackled as far as A-roll, of what needs to be filmed as far as B-roll shots, what needs to be edited, what needs to be published, scheduling, all that stuff. I treat this like a legitimate job. Impulse control, lack of impulse control, more than likely, but I still love it at the end of the day. Otherwise, I would have dropped it years ago. Even prior to this current channel that I have over 20,000 subscribers on, I would have dropped it, but I'm still here. So looking at it from this perspective, it is going to cause this major test of mental endurance as far as what to do as a collector here in the States. I have to be very specific here with this little asterisk, with this little caveat, which is to be an action figure, as it's being remarked now, as a toy tuber or an action figure content creator here in the States. Because I can tell you who's taking major advantage of this right now, and I don't blame them whatsoever of doing so. Every single action figure collector who's either also a YouTube content creator, or has been thinking about wanting to start a channel of content creation around action figures and the hobby of action figures, who live in either China or Japan. If you haven't already created a channel, now is your time, because with this de minimis situation being eradicated and tariffs literally holding figures hostage from us content creators here in the States, this is your time to shine. For those of you who live in Japan, can literally walk into the store, grab that Mafix Andrew. Guess what? Your review can go up by the end of the week. Congratulations. And I'm saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm saying that half sarcastically, not in spite of them, but just from the fact that I can't have my figure. Oh well. But I say that half sarcastically and half truthful because, a lot of YouTuber educators these days say to use the advantages that you have at your disposal. And I know that location, when it comes to action figures that are imports from FIguarts, Mafix, InArt, LPZZ, all these companies overseas from China and Japan, if you live in those countries, take advantage. I don't blame you whatsoever if you do. Take advantage. If you get those figures as soon as possible, practice up on your speaking, practice up on camera placement. If you want to get much more involved with it like I do to the point of obsession, then learn how to edit, cut in B-roll, cut in close-ups, pans, tilts, etc. And your channel will take off. Because I know that some of us here in the States, we're about to embrace a massive, massive lull unless we take extra measures to procure some of these figures so that we can deliver them on a timely fashion, because there's already some figures that I'm looking at and going, do I even want to review that still? Because that figure came out months ago. Unless there's that much of a demand as far as a comparison is concerned, or if I could come up with something creative to review the figure instead of just a standard figure, because this Andrew figure, for example, the perfect example, right now, I'm kind of stressing myself out trying to decide if I should just flat out cancel my HobbyLink Japan order and go into sites like, God forbid, eBay or Mercari, because I know that there's some people on Mercari that live in Japan who already got their hands. In fact, let's find out together here. Let me go into Mercari and see how many people have already listed Mafix Andrew up for shipping, since they know that shit is not about to fly here in the States anytime soon. So let me sort. I typed in Mafix Spider-Man, sort to recent. Still nothing. But then again, we're literally talking hours of the figure being released. So nothing, but I will definitely keep tabs on this. Let me just, for the hell of it, type in Mafix Spider-Man Andrew. to be specific, because this is where I'm gonna have to resort to more than likely. So I'm gonna have to go if I wanted to deliver my review of this figure at least within the next 3-ish weeks. It's definitely not gonna be through Hobbylink Japan. I'm probably gonna have to do it through a aftermarket seller on Mercari or eBay, which almost by default means that it's gonna have to be upcharged up the ass to handle something like that. And that is just one scenario. If this whole tariff situation is not resolved promptly, who's to say that entering September, what other figure? Let me look up because I know I have a spreadsheet. Like I mentioned before, I take this shit seriously. I have a spreadsheet of all the figures that I have on pre-order. So I just mentioned Spider-Man, Andrew Spider-Man, right? I believe within the next month-ish or so, we have the Nightmare Batman from Batman vs. Superman from Mafex coming out, allegedly in September, unless there's a delay with that one as well. The integrated Spider-Man, which is the Tom Holland final suit. Well, not the final suit, but the one with like the gold symbol that gets put on by Doc Ock at the end of No Way Home for the final fight. That one is supposedly getting released in September by Mafex. And then going into October, Mafex is re-releasing a reissue of the comic book version of Miles Morales, so the comic-based one. The final suit, the actual like final swing, the red and blue one that's gonna be seen probably for a couple of minutes in Brand New Day from Mafex, that's releasing in October supposedly. And then by the end of the year, LPZZ might be releasing their Deathstroke. Mafex has a couple of other things coming out. I think that comic, that Hush Robin, I think might be coming out. A couple of other things. I think Amazing Yamaguchi's got some stuff. Who's to say that all those figures that I have lined up in my Hobbylink Japan are just not going to be like private warehouse, and I'm over here like, and I got no reviews. And all those reviews are late. By the time I get them, if that finally gets resolved, that Andrew barely comes in 2 months from now, bunch of reviews are already up. Why should I review it? So yeah, that's the dilemma I'm kind of facing as a content creator, and I'm definitely not the only one. There's probably a handful of other action figure collectors based at least here in the States. Like I said, nobody overseas should have this problem. If anything, they should take advantage. But that's definitely a delicate place that the channel is left in with this whole situation with de minimis being lifted. It's like, okay, all these things that we were looking forward to getting released are now, like I said, for lack of a better term, being held hostage. What am I gonna be able to tackle on the channel? I'm not saying that it's gonna be like crickets, because technically, like, some stuff is arriving. I actually have one figure arriving today from Walmart. A couple of days ago, I had something else arrive from McFarlane Toys that I'm already messing with back there. And I'm hoping to film that review maybe tomorrow, actually. Maybe. And then something else came in from Calkeys, I think yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. So, no, the McFarlane one was Wednesday. The Calkeys thing arrived yesterday. And then today, I got something coming in from Walmart. So, a lot of stuff. So, I'm not saying that I won't be busy and there won't be stuff going up on the channel. And then the Fonjoy Corn Sweat Superman review and comparison is being finalized right now. I'm aiming to have that up by Sunday. So it's not to say that lull that I'm talking about is not going to happen anytime soon, but I should be kind of prepared for it. And that's why I'm like, all right, what is there to really tackle should this tariff situation be that bad that they're going to take all my figures that I have on pre-order and just, like I said, for lack of a better term, hold them hostage and see what exactly. Now I'm looking at some of the FIguarts from Across the Spider-Verse that's been released and I haven't picked up yet, like the Spider Noir and Ham, the Peter B. Parker and Mayday set. I haven't picked those up, but now I feel like I might have to because stuff overseas is not coming in, and that stuff I know is already here in the States. There's already sellers online. Entertainment Earth already has it in stock. Mike's Toys and stuff in the Orange County has it in stock. I can pick it up from him. So I'm just going to have to like fork off the road and see at the other stuff, or pay extra to be able to tackle things a little sooner and be first on delivering a review. And that's the decision making that I and very likely many other channels are here in the States are trying to figure that out. And it's stressful, to say the least. By the way, Beyondix, welcome to the stream. Yes, Spartan, this whole situation with them putting things on hold, it's indefinite. Like, we're literally a day at a time. Like, it could take weeks, worst case scenario, months. Or we can wake up on Monday and they're like, hey, we figured something out. We're shipping. It's like, it could be like that. Ooh, Bones, that's an interesting idea. Send it to in a different country. Well, I mean, does that country have to? Could it be in the in the North America, or does it have to be elsewhere? God damn it! Like I said, that's so annoying. Because I know that if I were to get it on Mercari, it's gonna be like, especially with how high of a demand things are with these figures now, knowing that these companies are holding them hostage by force, not by own vocation, but by force because of the tariff situation. Because I remember posting about a figure that I'm actually about to talk about right now, and remarking about how great this figure looks like, or actually no, remarking about something else. I'll tackle that in a second. Involving a particular FIguarts that went up for pre-order earlier this week, and someone said, and yet you're gonna pay double, and I'm like, no, because the company that is selling the store knows how crazy these prices are for shipping, that their option is to go lose customers by charging the $80 for an already $80 figure, meaning charging twice just to ship it on top of the shipping. That's not even counting the shipping and the taxes. So we're nearing somewhere in the $200 range for a figure that is technically MSRP $80, almost 2.5 times more, and risk getting all these canceled orders, losing all these customers, and they're never going to come back, and they're going to get priced out of the hobby, and you're not going to get them back. A lot of people are going to look at the hobby and go like, look at how much money I saved. I could just get an apartment, especially here in California. You're not going to get them back. It's not going to happen. You have to look at the graphs and be like, some of these people are not going to come back. They're not. So storefronts like Hobbylink Japan are like, we're just going to put on hold because we technically can charge you those $80, but the repercussions, the domino effect, you can't take it back. It's a genie you can't put the genie back in the bottle situation. And so instead of doing that, they're like, okay, we're just going to hold until we can bring those original shipping prices back, because we know that we're going to lose customers this way. It's like, it's ridiculous. Well, you'll be charged a tariff if the shipping makes it over $100. No, yeah, Bionics, that's what I was mentioning. It's like they're not gonna risk losing customers because it would be over $100. It'll be insane. So like, we're not gonna risk it. We're just gonna hold on U.S. shipping until this gets resolved. That's it. And Bionics, you asked the question about the MvC Spider-Man. I'm gonna hold on to that because it's gonna segue into this next topic, so hold on to that one. Idea, maybe some kit bashing videos, like maybe dedicate some videos to certain figures and swapping heads or parts. That might fill a gap and bring some people in. Maybe. Yeah, like you mentioned, 5POA does head swap vids sometimes, or includes them in the video. He's about to make a lot more of them, if need be. So maybe it's worth giving it a go. Yeah, maybe. That's a good idea. Another idea, I'll definitely put a pin on that idea. Another idea that I personally came up with is, if the prices aren't too crazy, even though they're about to be, I think I might have just jinxed myself here, just breathing it out loud. But one little toss-up that I had is going back and trying to hunt down some classic, I guess you could almost categorize them as vintage figures from the early 2000 days of Toy Biz. So specifically some of the Tobey Maguire stuff, like the 2002 superposable Spider-Man, the 2004 version of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man superposable edition, the Green Goblin, maybe a brand new version of the Doc Ock, even though I already have the Doc Ock, and just trying to hunt down those figures to just kind of compare to some of the more modern stuff that Hasbro's doing with Marvel Legends, to just kind of throw it back, like throwback reviews. One time, I don't think it's there anymore. I think somebody might have bought it. But a few months ago, I remember I went to Frankensons in the City of Industry, California. Some of you might be familiar with Frankensons. Should be. And there was a vendor who strictly sells McFarlane toys. To the point where he even has the banner, McFarlane Toys. It's in the attitude. And he mostly just sells McFarlane toys. But out of nowhere, and you could say this is kind of like I said, an effect of like COVID and what was going on with like maybe the tariff situation. I don't know. But he had in one of the little racks kind of hung up, he had, I think, minus one figure. He had almost all of the Movie Master wave from The Dark Knight in 2008 by Mattel. He had Batman, he had Gordon, he had the Batman Begins Batman, he had Ra's al Ghul, Scarecrow, and Joker. And like I said, I feel like he's missing one. But he had like 4 or 5 figures from that Movie Masters wave, 2 of which I technically already own, loose. And he was selling it for like $200, the entire wave, $200. And I'm like, and they were brand new, still sealed in box. I think they were, I could be wrong, but I think they were still sealed. There was some dusting and flaking and some, I don't want to say dents, but like that casual handling wear and tear where you like handle boxes and just kind of throw them in boxes. You know how they have that like slight little usage handling on the box? That's nothing crazy bad, but you could tell that they weren't like held by gloves or anything like that. But they were still technically new in box, $200 for like 4 or 5 of these figures from that Movie Masters wave. And I'm like, why is that not bad? Why is it just me, or is that really not bad? It might be gone by now because I feel like that's such a not bad price that I think that was months ago. So since then, it's probably gone. But should I come across a situation like that, maybe pull the trigger now and be like, you know what? This will be like a cool little throwback episode to some of these earlier figures and kind of take that approach. So that's an option. That's an idea, along with the one that you just mentioned, Bones, about maybe doing kit bashes, head swaps, things like that. At the same time, I don't want to make it seem like I'm ripping off 5POA, because that definitely feels like a 5POA thing that he has kind of coined or made it his own. So I don't know. I'm definitely in the thinking stage still with something like that. Endoskeleton, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm going to have to research what kind of loophole I can do with this figure that, oh my god, so, because full on it doesn't say I can do it to the US. I wonder if I can add it, and it says US specifically. I wonder if I could send it to someone in Mexico. I technically do have family in Mexico. I just haven't talked to that family in like 10 years. So I don't know what kind of loophole I'm going to have to figure out. That's how things have been in the UK for years. Import fees sucked. Shipped a $400 pile of loot, and import got me for another 100. Jesus, I'm sorry, Endo. Small vendors can't sustain massive warehouse order holds. Yeah, I'm also thinking about that too. What am I even saying? Thinking about Big Bad Toy Story Entertainment Earth. How about someone like Mike's Toys and Stuff? There's almost actually that could also be another video. Like one of these days, come over and be like, hey, can I interview you to see what your take is on this whole tariff situation with de minimis ending? I'm almost tempted to do that. I'll have to gauge that. To sit down with them and be like, hey, as a toy store owner, and I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Because I know that him owning that store is not even his full-time thing. He does it like on the weekends only. But that would be an interesting perspective to highlight on the channel and talk it over. Yeah, pretty sure if you get something over 135 pounds, you decide to get a fee. Yeah, they have a limit. I came in late. Which figure are you talking about? Well, in the broad spectrum, we were talking about just this whole situation with de minimis ending and how that's going to affect action figures as a whole in terms of imports from like Mayfix, and the very like direct example that I utilized was my situation that literally just happened to me last night, which is getting an email from Hobbylink Japan saying that Andrew Garfield's Spidey, the reissue or remaster, the 2.0, whatever you want to call it, which is meant to be the No Way Home version, but with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 branding because of Sony, finally gets released after all these months of delays, and it gets released at the literal worst time to where it's being held hostage by Hobbylink Japan because of the whole tariff situation. And then that kind of segued. So I guess if you want to think about a figure that I was talking about, it was the Mayfix Andrew. But then I segued into how that's going to affect toy tubers that live here in the States, and what are we going to do in terms of content, because some of these figures that we were looking forward to getting and reviewing and publishing our videos on a timely manner is going to take the whole timeliness out of the equation, because we're not going to get the figures unless we figure out a loophole of like sending it to a different address or getting someone to hook us up. I don't know. Speaking of which, Spartan 107, Kaiju Daddy might be willing to ship it as a gift for you. What do you mean? I've heard of Kaiju Daddy. Should not say that out loud because that sounds weird. What's Kaiju Daddy? Oh! Yeah, now I recognize the logo. That's actually a pretty badass logo. Yeah, I know. I've seen him in passing. On social media and on YouTube, especially that logo. Like I said, I love that logo. Oh, he posted that review. Oh, he's the one that posted those photos during the release. That was him. Yeah. And he posted that review. Yeah, like I said, people who were on the fence of whether or not they should make a YouTube channel, and you guys live in either China or Japan, now's your time. Now is your time. Take advantage. Hey, dude, before I forget, you can pre-order a LPZZ Batman Arkham Knight at Pop Collectibles. I trust them. J.M. Herrera. You mean this LPZZ Arkham Knight Batman? You mean this one? Smells like asbestos. Now, JM Herrera, don't be too jealous because I'm having some words. They haven't responded yet, but let's just say I'm having some words with the storefront that sent this because it looks nice right here, right? Yeah. I wonder if this is a result of them trying to get it out as soon as possible before the de minimis thing happened, and they're like, get it, they just threw it. And sadly, that did dent the product box inside. I already looked. I already unboxed it. Well, I didn't unbox it. I unboxed the shipper. There's the front, and thankfully the front looks nice and clean. But not the back. Right there. That's the only downside. So I'm simply just relaying information to who shipped it, saying, hey, I received it pretty timely from when it left the country to when it got here. The window of time was nice, not too bad, but maybe either add some extra packing material or got to figure something else out because I really want to preserve the boxes as well as possible there. But he's finally here. Finally. And I'm trusting that if it's able to dent in on the back here that easily, that should mean that it's hollowed out right here. So hopefully that didn't affect the figure inside. And we should be good. Yeah. But I will not be reviewing this weekend. This weekend I have, like I said, a couple of other things that need looking at. If I can find the little flap that I can't. Oh, that's not the right flap. So yeah. So like I said, we have stuff to cover on the channel. Should there be a lull in regards to some of these import figures because of what's going on, I'll leave that there at the bottom for now. CM Bronk, welcome to stream. Still waiting on mine from Toys Metaverse. Spartan, really? I thought Toys Metaverse was like one of the ones that acted first. He ships out Mayfix figures to channel members, and I think there is a gift exemption when shipping stuff out. Channel members, so I have to be a member of his channel? Like, to join? And I think there's a gift exemption when shipping stuff out. I'll look into it, but the fact that I have to join his channel, it's like, okay, can I just ask you to ship it for me and I'll pay you the shipping price? But I have to join the channel too? I'm like, that's like, it's the reason for why I don't really do giveaways anymore, because with giveaways these days, especially with the way YouTube works now, it's like, oh, to enter the giveaway, subscribe and comment. And I'm like, but the comment is for, I don't know. There's something in my brain that just doesn't sit well. It just doesn't sit comfortably with me knowing that people are subscribing for the giveaway and they're not subscribing because they actually like my content. And when they comment, they're commenting because they want to answer the giveaway, not because they have some actual input on the video. It's like, that's why I don't really do giveaways or anything like that. And to me, that's kind of what that sounds like. If he enjoys it, that's fine. But maybe, like I said, I'll look into it and maybe just contact him directly and be like, hey, what's the information if I was referred by someone that you can sort out the situation where I can maybe have HobbyLink Japan send the figure to you and then you send it to me and I'll just pay you the shipping, or I don't know. Time to start reviewing it. Yeah, Endo. Like, I'm thinking about doing that. CM Brock, you said got mine on the way. You're talking about LPZZ Batman or Andrew Spider-Man? I should be getting an invoice for mine after the current batch is done with. I'm so excited for this guy. Hopefully I get better luck on my box than you did. Bones, where are you getting yours from? I just hope Pop Collectibles don't got problems on the tariffs. Yo, Bones, he's so yummy. Yeah, I mean, I was preparing for this. I already have the McFarlane, which is going to be interesting to compare next to. I honestly feel like maybe they might scale well in terms of size, but detail is not going to be a question. I can already tell. But just for shits and giggles, I have the McFarlane Arkham Knight Batman here. I have the Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech. Am I missing any? I think there's like a couple of third parties, but I just don't have those. So I think that might be it. Kevbot, welcome to the stream. You didn't miss it? Well, I mean, you missed the first hour, but we're still going. We're still got a couple of topics to talk about. Welcome. CM Bronco, LPZZ, alright. And then Bones, also you, Toys Metaverse? Shit. Now you guys got me a little nervous because last week, after procuring some funds and feeling a little bit better about it, I put down... Oh, Bones, you're right. Square Enix made a PlayArts. Oh, son of a bitch. That's right, there is a PlayArts one. At the same time, I don't want to give Square Enix any money for that because they have such a monopoly on those figures with their own shit that I'm like, what are you guys doing? I don't know. I'll think about it. But, what was I going to say? Last week, after feeling a little better about it, I put down pre-orders for the LPZZ Deathstroke and the Sawtooth Symbiote Enemy or whatever it's called. Basically, it's the third-party Venom from Spider-Man 3. 112 scale figure over at Toys Metaverse. So hopefully I made first batch because I did wait like a week after the pre-orders went live. But hopefully I'm counted as first batch and I won't face any situations when those figures get released, which are so far slated for Q4 of 2025, which means between best case scenario, well, earliest October, latest the end of the year, literal end of the year. Very likely going to get some delays into January in terms of production because that's how things happen. LPZZ Batman technically got delayed a couple times, so because it was slated for like Q2, and now here we are on the cusp of September, and some companies like Bombasby are finally shipping theirs out, Toys Metaverse, etc. Sawtooth, I can't really speak for them because this is my first time buying a Sawtooth figure, so I don't know how they operate. I don't know if they get delayed a lot or if they're timely. But, of course, none of that could potentially matter since right now, with the situation of the tariffs, Toys Metaverse might just, if it's that bad, if it's truly that bad, worst case scenario, this tariff stuff is still happening by the end of the year. And those figures that I just pre-ordered through Toys Metaverse are just going to be held in limbo. They offer a free return, so I don't think it's fake. We'll see, CM Brock. I've had, I think, mostly good interactions in the past on eBay, but there was one... Or actually, no, it wasn't eBay. It was Mercari. I actually did get one scam. I got scammed once on... But it wasn't eBay. It was Mercari, where I got tracking info. It said it got delivered. I asked my girlfriend, where is it? Because I shipped it to my girlfriend's house. She looked all over. At first, we thought that maybe somebody... a porch pirate got it. But the shipping notification, when it says delivered, it says delivered to the mailbox, inside the mailbox. She checked it left and right, nothing. And I'm like, I didn't get anything. I don't know if it was like a piece of paper that just happened to have the tracking number on it or whatever. I told Mercari, like, hey, didn't get anything. They gave me my refund, so... Well, JM, I was pretty stoked, but there's an interesting story about this LPZZ Batman because I got it from someone for review. But I technically did buy a different one from Bombasby that just barely shipped. And I don't even know if that one shipped. When did that one ship? Let me see. And I don't even know if that one's going to move with everything that's happening with the de minimis thing. Because I'm like, it says it shipped, but is it actually going to move? Because this was on, oh, wow. Yeah, it shipped on the 28th. And then today, there's been some movement. Shipment arrived at facility and measured. So I don't even, so the Bombasby order is on its way. But this one, I didn't even know it was coming because it's coming from Kalki's for review. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the other one. I don't know if I'm going to sell it because I know that some people are probably going to in need of an LPCZ. I haven't decided yet, but and I don't know what condition it's going to arrive in, or if it's even going to arrive, period, because like I said, with the tariff situation, is it even going to make it out of port? I don't know. All I know is that this one was slightly unexpected, but I was like, I hinted at Kalki's, like, hey, I'm interested in the LPZZ. I just didn't think that they were actually going to send it for review. So I was like, oh, shit, so yeah. Kev bought the de minimis loophole, which was that deal that got lifted. You know who in office said, screw that noise and cut it out. Square Enix, from my experience, resells for quite cheap. You know what? I'm kind of curious. Let me go back into Mercari and see what that says. Why is it not deleting? Why are you not deleting? Play Arts Kai Batman. Let me just type that in just for shits and giggles. Because I see the Arkham Knight. Where's Arkham Knight Batman? Let me just type in Batman Arkham Knight. Because I'm just getting the actual Arkham Knight, the villain. I'm not... Did they actually make a Batman from Arkham Knight? Because it looks like they made every character except Batman. Hold on. Now let me just do a straight Google search. Play Arts. Hey, who knows? Maybe they sell those at Frankensons. Yeah, they made the Batman. I found him. Is this correct? 140 on Amazon? Alright, you're right. They did make Batman, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to spend $140. That's not cheap. Oh, yeah, they did make Batman. 110 on eBay, but then how much is that shipping? That brings us to 140 anyway. If anything, maybe it's something to look out for at conventions or at whatchamacallit, Frankensons. If I ever go to Frankensons again, I'll look out, because I've seen a couple of play arts, but I think I saw one play arts Batman, but it was from Injustice 2 at Frankensons a couple times. Then do you think I should cancel my order and see if it's at Comic-Con? Please give me your word, because I want to get it before I lose interest and regret it time later. Cancel your order for what? JM. I thought Japan struck a deal with the U.S. about terror. Oh, I read that. Sorry. I'll have to do some homework then. Lucky for me, I don't have any figures from Japan shipping until December. Yeah, like I said, worst case scenario, that this shit is still happening by December. Kamoy, welcome to stream. For LPZZ Batman JM? Honestly, no. Don't cancel your order. Keep it. How much, if I may ask, how much did you pay on that order? Because I'm betting it's somewhere around like the $70 or $80 range, right? The traditional MSRP. Because mark my words, if you find it at Comic-Con, at that LA Comic-Con, which who knows, maybe I'll run into you there. I would say that if by some chance a vendor does have the LPZZ Batman, get ready to see 3 wonderful digits on that price tag. It's not going to be whatever you paid for. 105 with shipping? Well, with shipping. So without shipping, it was probably somewhere around the $80 range, which is the standard MSRP. Cool. You're probably looking at 150. Maybe even 160, considering everything that's happening right now. In fact, let me go into eBay, because that's probably going to be the easiest. Why am I using my phone? My computer's right here. Oh, look at that. There's already just breathe that in. Hey, look, we got some more. Yeah. Keep the pre-order. Keep it for now. Games 173, welcome to the stream. What do I think of the InArt 112 scale figures? They're definitely pretty competitive as far as what I saw in person at that event with the BVS stuff, like the Ben Affleck Batman, the Cavill Superman, and even the Pattinson, as well as some of the gaming and comic stuff. They could be giving Mafex and FIguarts a run for their money, and seeing them taking their strengths and scaling them down quite literally to 112 proportions, and what LPZZ is able to do, it's pretty exciting for that scale. Of course, right now it's difficult to not feel a little weathered, a little defeated with what's going on right now with the tariff situation, because even if those figures are like right around the corner of getting released by InArt, like best case scenario, mid to late September, InArt posts goes on social media and officially announces the Arkham Origins Batman, which has been shown off at events ever since last year's Comic-Con event. And then this year, I don't believe it showed up, but they did have one other figure that was shown last year, which was the Batman Who Laughs, and then a brand new Arkham Origins prototype with the XE suit. Like I said, best case scenario, sometime in September, hey, 1/12th Arkham Origins Batman. Pre-orders start later this week. Cool. Just so you know, you can pre-order. God knows when we're actually going to be able to ship it out because of this whole tariff situation. So, stay tuned. Okay, then what are we getting hyped for? You know what I mean? It's difficult to get hyped. I can just objectively say that the InArt 112 stuff looks legitimately awesome. I really do like it. So yeah, JM Herrera, hold on to that pre-order. But yeah, me and the girlfriend are going to LA Comic-Con at the end of the month. for our this is funny, but I'll go ahead and say it. We had our anniversary a couple weeks ago, our 10-year anniversary actually. I'm not gonna say I didn't know what to get her, because I did have one really solid thing to get her, but I was trying to think, is this weak? Should I think of something else? But every time I try to think of something else to get her for our anniversary, I kept circling back to this option, and I went ahead and did it. Since we were going to LA Comic Con for our anniversary, for her anniversary gift, I bought her a photo op with Charlie Cox, aka Daredevil, from the Netflix/Disney Plus Daredevil Born Again show. She loves Charlie Cox. It's actually one of the guys that she will leave me with. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And for anniversary, I bought her a photo op, which technically I could be in the photo op as well. You can have up to 4 people. So God willing, this is not wood, but I'm knocking on it like if it was wood. Come the end of September, her and I are going to be hopefully getting a picture taken with Charlie Cox. I would have done Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, because I really do like Vincent D'Onofrio. That would be cool, but money. I have to be a bit conservative with money, so I'm like, that's it. If I had the money, I would have done both of them. I would have also done John Bernthal, but I'll have to look. Hold on, let's see if there's any updates. Let me go on Twitter and see if LA Comic Con has posted anything, because when I went to buy the photo op for Charlie Cox, John Bernthal was not on there anymore, because he was. I could have sworn he was in there, and then he disappeared. I was like, oh. And from what I hear, hopefully he's okay, but lately John Bernthal has been canceling Comic-Con events. So I don't know what's going on over there. Well, their Twitter's pretty inactive. They haven't really posted. Let me check Comic-Con LA. There we go. Okay, they're much more active on Facebook. Like, they literally posted 6 days ago. 6 hours ago. Or maybe he is appearing, but he's just not doing photo ops. I don't know. But I could have sworn... yeah, this is from July 31st. No, this was a few weeks ago. I noticed that John Bernthal wasn't on there anymore. And he's not even on the panel listing. So I'm like, oh, I wonder. Hoping New York Comic Con doesn't lack in licensed companies showing up. Yeah, because I know that that's in October. They still got time, but considering what's happening here, it's like, imagine if there's no stands of anything. And yeah, this whole situation with the tariffs, it does kind of take a little bit of the winds of wanting to put down pre-orders for future releases, but that definitely did not stop so many of us from going crazy when pre-orders launched a couple days ago, or a day and a half-ish or so ago, for this motherfucker. FIguarts, Marvel vs. Capcom, or as they call it, Gamerverse, Spider-Man. Did any of you secure your pre-order for this guy? If so, you have been chosen by the gods, because holy shit. This thing was borderline a nightmare to secure a pre-order for. Now, and the reason why is because this is actually a really good looking figure. I'm sorry. It's difficult for me to not have gotten giddy at the announcement, even though I probably should have known better that they were going to deliver on a Spidey. But I think, if anything, they were probably testing the waters with the Marvel vs. Capcom Cyclops that went up earlier this year. And they were like, whoa, there's quite a bit of demand. It actually sold out for a little while on some of the sites like Hobby Link Japan and whatnot. So I guess we can give the go-ahead to that prototype for Spidey. And here it is. And there was so much talk and buzz over this Spidey, especially with this very MvC iconic pose that he's got going on right here, that a lot of sites were pretty known to the fact that this guy was going to sell in seconds. Not even minutes, seconds. But it's one thing for a figure of this ilk to sell out in seconds to genuine collectors. It's another for a site that is already taking a bit of a hit with this whole de minimis situation to not do something about their botting situation. It also comes with this little ultimate web throw piece, I believe. Because, like I said, on Wednesday... No, well, Wednesday... It was Wednesday night for me, but it was like midnight Wednesday night, so it was Thursday night at midnight. Pre-orders for this Spider-Man through Hobby Link Japan, Hobby Genki, and Amazon Japan went up for pre-order. And you even have, creators like Paternia, or people on social media like Paternia, who are looking out for the little guy to make sure that we're good, telling us that pre-orders are going to go live at a certain time. Here we go. It's this one. August 28th, Bandai pre-orders go live at 3 a.m. Eastern, so it will be 12 a.m. Pacific, says to myself. These were the pre-orders that went live. Mace Windu was even included in there. That's kind of cool. Even the classic Darth Vader, which looks kind of neat. I'll keep my eye on it. But the main one that everyone was talking about was that Spidey. To the point where even Paternia said, also, maybe to set expectations, Spider-Man is going to last seconds on most sites. I clicked add to cart and it was gone by the time I clicked the cart. Oh no, DTL 1982. I'll do you one better. I went on Reddit, as I like to do. Let me see, where did I post it on Reddit? Because I know I made a post. I'll do you one better, man. Better. It was in the, it was in the action figure. Here we go. And this is how you can, it's up to you if you want to take my word for it. But the only little piece of evidence that I can use to support how quick I was with this, or how much of the time window lines up, this is a picture that I took with my phone. It's not a screenshot. It's a picture that I took with my phone because it's the quickest thing that I had access to when I was in front of the laptop, refreshing both Hobby Link Japan and Hobby Genki to put down a pre-order. Because this screenshot, this photo that I took with my phone of the page was literally, I exaggerated with the decimals, but trust me when I say that it was 12 o'clock. I refreshed the FIguarts search page on Hobby Link Japan. I saw him not even at the top. I don't know why Hobby Link Japan doesn't organize their shit correctly. And I have it with the sorting feature saying date, by date, by date. And yet for some reason, this guy was a little bit lower than some other figures that were already up for pre-order. So I don't know why he got buried and sandwiched down. And I saw it, and sure enough, I didn't see any pre-order button or add to cart button. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I opened the page, order stop, pre-order slots gone. Seconds. Motherfucking seconds after midnight. Gone. And this is what I ranted on with Reddit. Fix your fucking... By the way, probably a bad idea to put censoring fucking and then put bot next to it, because it kind of looks like something... A different bad word there. That's terrible. But I didn't think about that until now. That's terrible. But fix your fucking bot problem, LJJ. And this is not the first time. There's been several instances in the past couple of years where out of all the sites, HobbyLink Japan is the one that gets like botted so badly that I'm like, what are you guys doing over there? Like, do you guys not have some kind of infrastructure that can take care of something like this? Because it's ridiculous. Seconds, and I can't even hit the add to cart. And so far, that one post that I saw, I think I lost it already. Of that guy saying, "Oh, I had it in the cart," and then when I click add to cart or proceed to checkout, it was gone. Right now, in this stream, that post was my first time seeing someone saying that they were able to add it to cart, because I'm like, how? This was ridiculous. This is fucking bullshit. And again, up to you if you want to take my word for it, but I'm still angry despite having been able to put down a pre-order, but not on HobbyLink Japan, on Hobby Genki. And I was lucky that, even though technically I do have the money right now, but I was also very, very thankful that Hobby Genki has a pay for later option. So hopefully things don't look too bad when the time comes for this to get released, which right now I think has a window of the end of February 2026. And hopefully by then this tariff situation will be resolved. But I did manage to secure a pre-order with Hobby Genki. Definitely not a walk in the park, because so many times, we're talking somewhere around the 6 or 7 times total throughout the entire process of checking out on Hobby Genki, 503 error, 503 error, 503 error. The site was crashing. It was getting flooded with traffic, and it kept crashing time and time again. It was ridiculous. So yeah, Hobby Genki was no joke either. The site kept crashing, and thankfully through perseverance, I was able to add it to my cart. I clicked checkout, crash, refresh. Thankfully was able to put in my shipping and payment info, or select the pay for later, crash again, refresh, and then finally I get the order confirmation screen. I get an email saying your order has been confirmed. I'm like, praying to God, we're locked. But that still doesn't excuse, I'm still livid at HobbyLink Japan for like not having some kind of, like I said, some kind of system in place to combat botters, because this is insane. This is right here. Now, if by some chance you were not able to procure something from these imported sites, you technically do have Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth. Right now, as of the timing of this stream, let me refresh. Entertainment Earth still has it for $100, but of course, who knows what the shipping is going to look like when it does come out. They're going to get it significantly later in May, right now estimated for May of 2026 as opposed to February. That's actually a pretty chunky discrepancy, 3 months total. And Big Bad Toy Store, I believe, is within the same time slot, but I still have this page up. Where'd it go? Here it is. Big Bad Toy Store does have it up, but not only is it around the same time, actually, well, a little earlier, April, same price, $100, but they are charging $10 up front as an NRD, which explains why it's still up for pre-order. And when you take into account the fact that it's $100, not counting any potential tariffs, should there still be in place, but as you can tell from the screenshot, one other incentive to do import, the MSRP is actually $73 overseas. Same thing with my Hobby Genki order. It was somewhere around like 70-something bucks after translating the yen. So this was a little bit of a nightmare. I was sweating, I was stressed, but technically I did walk away with a pre-order through Hobby Genki, but the process of getting to there was just very needlessly convoluted, especially on the Hobby Link Japan front. That shouldn't be an issue right now. It really shouldn't. And you know, that's not taking into consideration the quality. Whether you gravitated towards that version of the Spidey in that format is up to you. If that version of Spidey speaks to you or not, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about access to the site from an objective point of view. The fact that the site was simply just infiltrated with bots. That should just not happen. It just shouldn't. Like CM Bronk here, he passed on it, don't need it. That's okay. That's completely okay. I have a nostalgic spot in my heart for MvC Spidey. Spidey was one of my mains playing MvC on the Super Nintendo and then in the arcades, especially when I visited my family in Mexico. There was a laundromat that also had a ice cream parlor mixed in with a couple of arcade machines, and one of those arcades was MvC2. And sure enough, Spidey, swinging, gotta take me for a ride. Yes. So getting this guy, I was like, he looks amazing. I'm sorry, I gotta get it, and I gotta make the effort to get it. And thankfully, it paid off. But at the same time, I'm trying to set my expectations realistically later when the time comes. But the only thing I can do right now is pass judgment on how more or less poor Hobby Link Japan, you know, took care of their site on that day, because it shouldn't have been played out that way. And like I said, right now, it's originally slated for, you know, from overseas to be February of 2026. But with this stuff with the tariffs, I'm like, but will it though? Will it? I don't know. We'll find out. Stay tuned on Dragon Ball Z. And here's the thing, like, there's some people who will go as far as to even do this. I saw this meme on Twitter. I don't want to play with you anymore. And he's holding the FIguarts while tossing the Amazing Yamaguchi and the Mayfix. I feel like the Amazing Yamaguchi, and then some people have even said, hey, if you're not down with this, you still got, some people are turning their attention to the Maximum Marvel Legends for the $50. What I can appreciate about this new FIguarts, from being Gamerverse related, is that it's MvC. He's got the lanky proportions, very exaggerated, very almost to the point where he's looking a little McFarlane-esque in terms of like the big eyes and all that stuff. But it's got that MvC flavor with like the broad shoulders and the very curled up fingers that I'm like, it's got an identity that you can't find with these other two. So I laugh at the memery of this, but I think at the end of the day, people are still going to have their preference. And I don't think that the Mayfix is going to be substituted, nor even the Amazing Yamaguchi. Like, some people are still going to take both. Yeah, Kevbot, and that's another thing, is that sometimes people who don't want to go through the headache of putting through these hurdles with importing through HLJ, Hobby Genki, etc., BBTS, if you're already familiar with their systems and how their pile of loot works and what they charge and all that stuff, if you just want to pay the $100 for convenience, that's fine. There's no right or wrong. It's just up to you if you want to spend the money or not. Speaking of which, somebody asked me like how much was the Spider-Man originally? Well, now I'm curious, so let me go into my Hobby Genki order. Ah, here we go. I was like, where the hell did you go? My grand total that I'm going to have to pay later. I haven't paid for it yet. Because I'm doing the buy now, pay later. My grand total will be 12,300 yen. Which converted, as of right now, could fluctuate, we'll see, is $83.77. 83 bucks. That is factoring the shipping. I don't think it's factoring tax. Granted, it's import, so I don't know if they're going to actually tax it. It's one of those things where no taxes until the end of the year when you have to report it when you file your taxes. I'm completely self-aware of that. So if taxes not here, I'm going to have to report them later. I know. If that ends up being the grand total, $83.77, and getting it earlier, considering I'm a content creator, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of down. Dude, me too. I played MvC at a laundromat too. My MvC mains are Wolverine and Wolverine would be one of my other ones. The Berserker Barrage, I think is what he said. Oh yeah, for the longest time, like I didn't even I owned an NES, but only because my parents had it and they passed it down to us. Didn't get a Super Nintendo. We did get an N64, but me and my brother would have to share it, and it was a Christmas gift, so it wasn't just like a random pickup. GameCube was a birthday gift. PS2 was a birthday gift, and that was like 2 or 3 years after the GameCube because it was the slimmed down version. And then another 3-4 years after that was the slimmed down version of PS3, not even the first one. And then finally it was with the PS4 that I finally bought it with my own money. At that point I was working and I bought the PS4 with my own cash. So, and the rest was history. And now gaming sucks. Okay, so now let's wrap things up. Speaking of McFarlane, even though I technically wasn't, I was just making a reference to his art style with the very enlarged eyes that the new MvC Spidey from FIguarts is going to have. McFarlane did have something happen this week involving a pre-order launch. However, I mean, let's face it, we are starting to simmer down and enter the sunset era, sunset phase of McFarlane with the DC license, which is crazy because I am only like the biggest McFarlane glazer there is, right? According to someone on Reddit. Even though you could tell me you haven't watched my recent McFarlane videos without telling me that you haven't watched my recent McFarlane videos, which I've been giving a lot of like 5s and 6s to their figures. And there might be another 6 on the way. Spoilers. There might be another 6 out of 10 from McFarlane on the way here. We'll see. We'll see if I feel differently by tomorrow. And I am sort of entering this area where I am putting down pre-orders for certain McFarlanes, but I'm being very pick and choosy. There's some that I'm actually thinking about canceling already on Big Bad Toy Store because I'm like, I'm still in the thinking phase, but now knowing the quality that is being outputted for the price, I'm like, yeah, I can afford not just money, but mentally to cancel this and be like, all right, if money's a little better later down the line, maybe I'll pick them up if I see them in store. But as far as like a day one pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store needs to launch now, I'm like, nah, it can wait. Like a good example, after reviewing the Elite Edition Doomslayer, I'm kind of looking at the Atlan Mega figure and looking at it and going, it's not bad, but I think I might cancel my BBTS order for that guy. Because I'm kind of starting to wane on it. Like, it's one of those, like, the day of, you put down the pre-order and you go, okay, I got locked in. And then after a while, the feeling starts to dissipate and going, like, do I really need that? And if you have to ask yourself, and are you going to cover it on the channel? No? Then you probably have to cancel it. And that's kind of how I'm looking at the Doom the Dark Ages Atlan mega figure from McFarlane. I'm looking at it like, I might cancel that, to be honest. I might just cancel that. So when this week we had the pre-orders go live for the DC Rebirth Batmobile, I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. Yes, I did put down a pre-order because I do think that this looks kind of cool in terms of just visual fidelity. The visual of the nature of the symbol there on the front, the extra pieces here, it looks pretty badass. Am I aware that it is in fact a repurposed animated series Batmobile retrofitted with pieces from the DC Rebirth line? Yes, I do know that. We are getting to the point of repurposing Batmobiles the way that the main core figures have been repurposed as well, with like retooling and reusing of the bucks of like the Nightfall Batman, the Three Jokers Batman, which I recently commented on when tackling the Troika Batman. It's pretty much Three Jokers Batman, but with a different head. We're doing that with the vehicles now. And the only thing that hasn't made me... Sorry, I cracked my finger. The only thing that hasn't full-on made me go in the direction of like, okay, I'm on the verge of quitting, is knowing that McFarlane themselves might be on the verge of quitting with the loss of the license. So I'm in this like point where I am picking these up not only from a completionist standpoint to own the Batmobiles, but also to pass on the information, knowing that I have a YouTube channel that has a pretty sizable audience. Like, I'm not scoffing at the... I'm not saying it's a small channel, but I'm also not saying it's a big channel. It's a pretty, decently sized channel of 20,000 subscribers. How I'm in a place where I can get this guy ordered in, delivered, and knowing that I can edit and know that I can talk on the mic and break it down in a very lengthy and, comprehensive video and inform someone of a purchasing choice, like, why shouldn't I do that? I'm doing that with now McFarlane. In terms of if I didn't have the channel and I didn't have like this feeling in me of wanting to complete the Batmobiles, I can see myself in an alternate reality looking at this guy and going, I'm good. And I don't blame anyone for being in a position where they can look at this and go, I'm good. Don't blame me whatsoever. I'm like, yeah, I totally get you. I'm doing it so I can cover it on the channel. I do like some of the visual aesthetics, but keep in mind, just 3 weeks ago, I finally bought the White Knight Batmobile. Why? Because for those of you, some of you may already know, it's popping up at Ross stores for $20. It came out at MSRP of $100, $80 off. Hell yeah, I'm picking it up for $20. But I didn't buy it back in the day when it first released. But was back in the day, was it this year or last year? I think it was either last year, maybe the year before when it came out. The White Knight Batmobile, the one that has like the little gap in the middle and has the two prongs with the wheels, kind of like a speeding bullet kind of aesthetic. I looked at it and I was like, it looks kind of neat, but it's not speaking to me enough for $100. At $20 though, I went to all the Rosses in my area, couldn't find them on the first go around, but it was about 5 or 6 days. I double checked the Ross that I technically already went to. There it was, $20. I was like, yes. I walked out with it, and I'm still in the deciding phase of wanting to pick up the Batman and Robin Batmobile because I still haven't picked that one up. But I know that BBTS is selling it right now for 40% off at like $65. That's a little nicer. It was a little better a few weeks ago. It was like 50% off, down to like 50 flat. Unfortunately, I still hesitated, and now the price went up a little bit more again. But I'm holding out. I'm holding out to see if it gets even cheaper, and maybe I'll get it then. Or maybe that'll start showing up in Ross's. The Batman Forever Batmobile with Alfred is showing up at Ross's. Who's to say that maybe some Batman and Robin's Batmobiles won't show up either? So don't get it twisted. Like, there's some things that I've been kind of like waiting on. This guy, I'm only the only thing that also kind of propelled me into wanting to pick it up is also because at the McFarlane toy store, this is another reason, another detail that made me go, okay, I'll pre-order, is because over at the McFarlane toy store, yeah, see, it's $100, and even I'm like, yeah, that's steep, but I can't show it off right here because I'm not logged in. Let me go over to the pre-orders. Let me go here. Here we go. So they do have a bundle deal that is still available, which I think kind of, is a little bit telling of where we're at, of where McFarlane is at with the DC Multiverse Wave. Still available, 110, and you get both the the Rebirth Batmobile and Rebirth Batman 3.0. I think at this point it's 3.0, and that's the only way I'm getting this figure is bundling him, because I'm like, all right, you're only charging $10 more, and let me take this off here so I can log in, so I can show you guys here. Hold on. Waiting to log in here. Where did my thing go? Here we go. Cool. So let's go back to the product pages. All right, so I just logged in. Let me refresh the page, and it went down another $10, or I think $11, $98.99. Why? Because back at the McFarlane Toys VIP event in July, at the end of July during Comic-Con week, they were having this like vending machine contest or thing where you can like win prizes. My girlfriend, like I said, won this limited edition comic book from last year. That was a Comic-Con exclusive last year. I, on the other hand, won a platinum VIP platinum membership for their collectors for their rewards, the Collectors Club rewards. I won the platinum membership for a year, and I'm like, yo, the timing is perfect, because it seems like in a year the DC license might be vacating McFarlane Toys. So I redeemed it, and part of that platinum membership is that you get 10% off store wide, in stock and pre-orders alike. So I'm already getting a $11 discount, 10% off, and you get double the rewards points whenever you make a purchase. One of those purchases just shipped and got delivered a few days ago. Oh well, you can see me sweating. Anyways, back to the McFarlane thing. Oh well, and it's pretty white. I don't even know if you can see it. I'm almost at the verge of not caring, to be honest, but oh well. But yeah, that, and then you get double the points of whenever something ships out instead of the traditional points. So I had enough points to redeem a $20 rewards certificate. So I got $20 off of this. So I got this for $78.99. Just a little under $80, and I get both the Batmobile and the DC Rebirth figure. So I thought to myself, okay, that combined with creating content for it, and considering that we're on the cusp of ending this whole thing with McFarlane, I was like, all right, I'll put down the pre-order. And the main bulk as to why I'm doing so is the Batmobile, because that's more or less new. The figure itself, from what I can tell, it's just the Rebirth Batman, only with a cloth cape. That's really about it. I do somewhat appreciate that he's got the two profiles. You got the basic cowl head and the regular Bruce Wayne head. A little iffy on the asymmetrical hands. You get only 3 instead of 4. And then the usual grapple and batarang. But like I said, I'm counting this more as like a freebie that you're only getting for like $8. So I'm like, all right, I get the Batmobile for $70, the figure for $8. I feel a little bit better about that. But yeah, I'm either gonna have to snip that, even though I hate editing streams like that, because It takes forever. YouTube takes forever to cut those little bits out. Because I believe my address was in there, but like thankfully they used like a font. I'm sorry, a color on the font that is so light that I'm like, I'm hoping that wasn't. Actually, I don't think you saw anything. I think I think maybe the order number, but at the same time, that's it. Ah, whatever. Fuck it. What order was that? Because I got basically the email that made me like panic is that Hobby Genki canceled one of my orders. I think I know what it is. And if it's what I think it is, then it's fine. Honestly. It ends in EZO. EZO. Here it is. Details. It is. Okay, it's Andrew. I had a pre-order with Hobby Genki for Andrew, and because I didn't pay it off, it canceled it. But at the same time, that's fine because you guys wouldn't have been able to ship it anyways. And I have the Hobby Link Japan one that's technically ready, but until this whole situation with the tariffs is clean, but I'll send you some bees. Ha! JM Herrera, joke's on you. That wasn't Hobby Genki that I have it under. I don't even know what that was, anyways. But yeah, they Hobby Genki canceled my Andrew Spidey because I had a pre-order with them. But like I said, Hobby Link Japan, they processed my order already, so they have it. I'm just waiting to see what happens with this whole imports tariff thing. So, oh well. It is very clear. All right, yeah. I'll after the stream, I'll unlist it, trim it, see how long it takes because I know that trimming it is that, and I think the biggest thing that is also a little more nerve-wracking is just the email overall. Although my email, you really can't see my email actually. But yeah, you can see my address in there. Alright, thank you for letting me know, Bones. It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. It's moments like this where I really do wish I had like a second monitor so I could put what the stream sees over here on the second monitor, and over here I can keep all the analytical stuff. Like the heads up display. I'm still holding out that unmasked head was a jump scare. Oh, for a Rebirth Batman? I mean, that's the same one that was in the digital version, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we are starting to get into some weird territory with the Batmobiles where the prices on the Batmobiles are going up, but to use another, saying the whole to say again the whole genie in a bottle situation, where it's like you introduced electronics like lights and sounds already, and now you're gonna bring out more Batmobiles without them, but then keep the price at the $80 to $90 range. It's like math is not mathin'. And I'm still thinking to 2023 when the Flash Batmobile came out, the Keaton Batmobile from the Flash, and that was what, 60? I think 60 flat, and I was like, that was pretty good. And sure, it doesn't have lights and a little bear on the paint, but $60 is not bad. And now we're getting to like the 80, 90, but it's no lights and sounds. Plastic is a little light. It's like, it's starting to creep up there, man. Like I said, like some of you guys are saying, Arkham Origins Batman, with this new Deathstroke that came out in the Collector's Edition, which I actually already filmed that review. It's in the can. I just gotta edit it. Hopefully this revitalizes the desire for more Arkham Origins stuff since they tackled Deathstroke before. And maybe they could be like, oh, Arkham Origins Batman, there's been a lot of requests for that. Let's do that. Arkham Batmobile. But again, you got to do the lights and sounds because you guys already did that, even if it means $80 to $90 or $100 flat. But keep the lights and sounds. No lights and sounds, but it still stays at $90 even without a bonus figure. It's like so strange. Okay, so I'm gonna call it there because I definitely need to unlist this and go snip that clip out. I really hope it doesn't take that long because that's my main thing. It's that it's just a few seconds and yet YouTube takes like hours to cut out a bit. It's like, ugh, so annoying. It's the most annoying thing. Plus, it does look like the thing that I was waiting for today just got delivered. Literally 20 minutes, no, almost half an hour ago. So. Gotta go and check that out. And also starting to get hungry. And that nature call, I think I'm finally ready to let it out. So I appreciate you guys for dropping on by on today's stream. Thank you all for watching. It's so stressful to stay in this hobby, but we still love it, right? Hoping to still love it. So, Bones, JM Herrera, CM Bronk, Endoskeleton, Kevbot, who else? Games 173, Kamoy. Who else was here? Spartan 107. Bionics. Oh, and then someone named Chief Mackay. I don't know if they lurked or they stayed. I don't know what the... Hopefully next call will be an easy pass. Jason's Electric. Jason's Electric. Why do you keep showing up at the end? God damn it. But thank you, Jason's Electric. If you were lurking, I appreciate you. God, it's hot in here. It's really hot. Hopefully next call will be an easy pass. Good night, y'all. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this nature call. And also, the stream will be unlisted because I got to go and snip that bit out. Hopefully it doesn't prove to be too problematic, and I can get things resolved here because that was annoying. That was really annoying, but it is what it is. So catch you guys on the flip side. Look out for a big comparison / review this weekend for the Fonjoy Superman. Like I said, I got one McFarlane vehicle that needs reviewing over here. Something just arrived today, and then as you guys saw earlier, LPZZ Batman. It's here. Gonna need some time for that one. Hold your horses. But that should be exciting. That should be interesting. And then all the while in between the gaps, research into how I'm gonna fix this whole situation with Mafex Andrew Spidey, get him imported or figure out a loophole because this is just so goddamn annoying. I've been here. I've been installing new 200 amp service. Nice. Wow. So you really are Jason's Electric. That's crazy. But thank you. Thank you guys. See you on the next stream. And as always, stay humble. Peace.